Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. With this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 8 of the anime series Dance with Devils. Holy crap, man. I did not see that ending coming. Like, whoa. You know, and I mean, the whole episode was enjoyable once again. Of course, it's festival time, and we already saw in the preview from the last episode, the tail end of the last episode, for this one, that there was going to be a dance involved, sort of like a ball or something like that, where Ritsuko would be paired up with Rem, and I was wondering how that was going to play out exactly, and it's all by coincidence. You know, sheer coincidence. It was all coinky-dink. Sure, you know, and then the rest of the boys are like, well, we didn't sense magic, so, oh, okay, I guess it was a coincidence that Rem and Ritsuko ended up paired up. But even though it was, like, predictable and whatever like that, it's still, I loved the feel of it. I loved that they had this duet. And I loved the duet. I loved the sort of change in the animation style. It was all like lit up and vibrant and like sort of, you know, pastels and everything like that. Like a complete, you know, shift from what the overall look of the series has been. That sort of gothic element, which was what drew me in to begin with. But I mean, we're seeing really like a genuine sense of love and admiration between them, and it's kind of falling in line with what I suspected, that Rem really does fall and is in love with Ritsuko and does not want to destroy her for having to rip the grimoire, the essence, out of her and everything like that. I mean, even to the extent that he's lying to the rest of the guys. Oh, it's in Vienna. The book is in Vienna, you know, hoping maybe to make them go wander off looking for it or something like that, maybe. Which would unfortunately weaken the resolve of the devils in the face of the vampires who come a-calling by the end of this episode, en force, en masse. Still not to be outdone by Lindo and Azuna to a point, as we see, but for them to actually all-out bold-faced lie was shocking to me, and at the same time pleasantly so, because it's like aligning to that thought that Rem is starting to reconsider doing anything not for the grimoire but for Ritsuko. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. If he follows through with that, or if he has a change of heart, or whatever, you know, unfolds along those lines. And it was, once again, I mean, the trio, sort of like the Three Stooges of this show now, is Shiki, Meiji, and Yuri. And it's hilarious to me. Like, they're kind of backing off on the threatening aspect of their overtness, but they're still very much overt in going after Ritsuko, and they're all spirited away by the fangirls mid-episode, which was hilarious to me. But yeah, I love that sort of, I like very much this sort of romantic angle. It's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast kind of moment, but not quite as well, if you know what I mean, like that whole dance aesthetic. And of course, Rem is still having internal, like, you know, conflicting emotions about what he wants to do, the decision he's angling toward making. He's not ready to commit to it yet. And so he walks away and he leaves Ritsuko on the dance floor as the fireworks begin. And just, you know, she's left with so much tumult inside. At the start of the episode, over the last few episodes, she's already got those conflicting emotions as well. Like, how can I keep going on? But I love that. You know, I've heard people talking about her character being sort of like an airhead and an idiot and not really having any sort of sense of self or self-importance or whatever like that. And that she's just kind of being led and she's gullible and all this kind of stuff. Hardly. She's, you know, from the opening of this episode, from the outset, we see her internal sort of dialogue talking about, well, I understand all the things that are happening around me are effed up. And I'm not going to succumb to that madness. I'm going to stay true to who I am. I'm going to follow my own desires, my own heart. And I'm going to stay strong for myself. She's not even really considering, you know, Lindo and Azuna at that point, even though she ends up stuck in the middle, you know, Oreoed by these two who are not going to let her out of their sights whatsoever, even if Lindo comes off like crazy stalker dude at the festival. You know, the look on his face when he's stuck between those two little huts and Azuna has to go, you know, have a talk and, you know, back off a little bit, pal. That knocked me for a loop. I was laughing my ass off looking at that face, and then you see him from afar, and he's just still got that face like, you know. So I mean, there was so much fun and vibrance to this episode, and then you finally get to the finale with these vampires, like I say, en masse, and you're seeing Azuna and Lindo, for all intents and purposes, handing them their asses, you know, wiping the floor with the remnants of the ash, because that's all that's left after a few minutes of this encounter. But you still have that lead vampire guy. He makes his return finally, and he manages to impale and effectively, unless there's some, you know, aspect that of this magic that's going to pick up with the next episode, for all intents and purposes, Azuna, the poor Azuna, who has had like just the worst of it through the course of this series, she ends up with the worst of it again. She's impaled, she's bleeding out, she effectively dies in Ritsuka's heartbroken arms, and I'm just like gobsmacked. I'm just sitting there with my jaw dropped, like, I can't believe they just did that. You know? And even Lindo can't get close because we see him kind of lose it once again in this battle. He kind of vamps out as well, and he's going vamp on vamp with these guys, still, you know, kicking ass, if you will. And like, I have to wonder, like, how much of him is aware of this ability. Like, is he even in tune with the fact that he has these vampire abilities, that he is a vampire or part vampire? Could it be something on a subconscious level or unconscious level where he just does it, kind of like the Incredible Hulk thing where, you know, Bruce Banner would change into the Beast and only have sort of dreamlike memories of actually having done so, and knowing that it was him because of that subconscious recognition, but not being in command of it or control of it. Could it be something like that, where maybe Lindo has yet to confront the fact that he is a vampire, and maybe it will be that revelation that spurs him in one direction or another, whether to enforce his protectoral role over Ritsuka or to ally himself with the vampires. Could they blackmail him? You know, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it could get really crazily, you know, intriguing, even that much more so. But I mean, damn. From the height of the awe and the splendor of this romantic duet moment to suddenly everything comes crashing to a halt. Utmost penultimate drama of Azuna dying in Ritsuka's arms. It's just, whew, I didn't expect that, and like, it was just a shock. I wasn't so much emotional over it, like some series will get me. Like, I was sad for Ritsuka, but I wasn't like, you know, feeling it emotionally myself. It was more so the shock of the moment, because I just didn't see it coming. But it's that much more, you know, got me pitched on the edge of my seat to see what in the hell is coming next. I mean, at least this series, for all of its predictable aspects to the story, to the plot, manages to sidewind and spin you in different directions and hit you with stuff you don't necessarily see coming. And some things that you do, you know, speculate might end up happening, might end up unfolding, they'll hit you with it at times you're not expecting it. So at least it's got me still pitched, as I say, to be intrigued, to be on the edge of my seat, to be utmost curious and just chomping at the bit to see where this goes. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if you've seen episode 8 of Dance with Devils, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you loved the heights of the lightness of, you know, that whole romantic flair, that beautiful duet between Rem and Ritsuka, respectively, and if you were as sort of taken aback and shocked, if not emotionally rocked, by the death seeming of Azuna, and do you think this is it? She's gone for good, or do you think they're going to pick up in the next episode and cast a spell and undo it or something along those lines? We saw Ritsuka lit up. The energy has broken free from just the absolute tantamount emotions she was rocked with in that moment. And now the chief of the vampires knows where the grimoire is. Chances are, because we saw their reactions, the devils know a bit more now. You know, all hell is set to break effing loose. And so yeah, can't wait to see the next one. Let me know if you agree below. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.